Okay, so we made it to the end. A lot of tests were done, and if you're like me, then you didn't necessarily get any immediate value out of the results that we had, because there was a lot there. Sometimes Arc Torrent won, sometimes Shotgun won, and it's really hard to decipher all of that. But after putting all of the resulting values in a more orderly fashion, I did come to several interesting conclusions. So, discovery on my part, apparently Arc Torrent has 0 damage fall off, which I was not previously aware of. I mean, maybe it's something that's more common knowledge and I just, didn't happen to get in on that. But I definitely found that interesting, and 100% wanted to make sure that I mentioned this in the video just in case other people weren't aware of this. I made these graphs for visual reference. For each mech, you can see that Shotgun, of course, loses a lot of damage value, so the time increases as the range increases, but not so much for Arc Torrent. You do see a slight upward trend for Shadow. Orion is completely linear, and Aegis has like a little bump in it, and that's all chalked up to human error, for at least to me. But yeah, you can go back and watch it, and when you get to the part where it's at like 30, 50 meters, it says the game is telling you that you're outside of optimal range. So you should be losing damage if you're outside of optimal range, but you're not, which is why I conclude that it has 0 damage fall off. Like, yes, I didn't actually test it at the furthest range that it can go, but I don't think I have to. But if you want to and, try to prove me wrong, feel free to do that, because I definitely want to know the answer to that. The second note that I wanted to include in here is, regardless of range, you can actually visually see the usefulness of Arc Torrent going up and the usefulness of Shotgun going down as you get better pilots and better implants. Shotgun 100% outperformed with no pilot, and with an epic pilot it was fairly even. It was kind of, half and half. But with a legendary pilot, Shotgun just takes so much longer, and I think that really defines what it is that you really want for the late game. That really defines Arc Torrent as the late game weapon, because of course you want the best pilot you can get for every weapon that you have. And if you have a close range weapon and you get Mina as the close range legendary pilot, then you'll want the weapon that can get you the most for what you have. And that would be Arc Torrent. Another reason Arc Torrent is better is just it has higher energy variance, and that's just really useful. At the end of the day, 16 energy mechs aren't great. I mean, no, you don't necessarily, like, I was using these on a light mech, right? Like, in the test, I was using it on Shadow. But, of course, I understand that most people viewing this are trying to figure out whether or not this is good on their rank 3 Guardian with 16 energy. And this all still applies, because everything that I was using was max. All of my opponents were also max. So your rank 3 with your rank 3 weapons or rank 4 weapons will compare to your rank 3, rank 4 enemies, and you'll get relatively the same results. So Shotgun is more of an early game weapon. Trying to get it as early as possible is really good. You can still use it as a late game weapon, but of course, assuming you don't have an Arc Torrent build and a Shotgun build, generally speaking, between one or the other, Arc Torrent is the better one. Because again, you don't necessarily want to be using light mechs late game anyway. And you can equip 2 10s, or, if you get lucky, 2 12s eventually at some point. And with the better pilots, the value of Arc Torrent really starts to scale up. And especially with the amount of range that it has better range than Shotgun, and it doesn't even lose damage over that range. So it is overall just the better weapon in the end game. For your end game goals, I think that is a very useful thing to know. Now, before I go, I would like to ask you guys to put in the comments 2 things. One thing that you liked about this video, and one thing that you didn't like. I have spent a lot of time trying to kind of perfect my system in terms of weapon comparisons, and I'd really like to know what I should keep, and maybe what I should change. And this could be literally anything. If you want to complain about the fact that there's no gameplay in this video, then absolutely do so, and I'll add some in the next one. But yeah, I appreciate your guys' feedback. I want to try to make this as comprehensible as possible, get you guys the most info that you can without it necessarily taking forever, which, yeah, I understand the actual testing portion of this video took like 10 minutes. So, you know, if your complaint is that I tested too many things and that it's really important to you that it doesn't, go past like 5 minutes or something, absolutely let me know. And even if it's just one person, it's not that I won't consider it if multiple people don't say it. Like, I am open to improving this kind of format that I have as much as possible, and that's really what I want to do. The biggest step up in terms of this video for me was putting the weapons side by side. Like each mech comparison was side by side as opposed to just one and another and another. And instead of only comparing values at the end, you could actually visually see which one did how much better, how much quicker it killed certain enemies at certain distances. And distances was another thing that I think was nice to include. So yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it at that before this video ends up breaking 17 minutes. And I will see you guys in the next one.